Well, we're back.
Welcome back to the podcast.
It's episode 9.
Music Bar Podcast.
The last one.
Number 9.
Before we go to number 10.
Which is the first time we get double figures.
I know.
Crazy.
I used to have a podcast of my own. I never got past 3 or 4 episodes.
No, I watched them all.
Yeah, and
I
I
watched
watched...
the last one, though.
Nah.
Star Wars.
I was just trying to come up with something.
Yeah.
That's
what you have to do.
This is good. Yeah, you just got to keep going. It's punk rock, man. You just got to try and figure out where your thing is and where you sit, and it's the whole DIY thing.
Yeah.
There's all these podcast studios. Chris and I do all this ourselves.
Yes, we do.
The studio's not ours. It belongs to Kev. Kev Chaos Studios.
Chaos Studio, thank you very much
Thank
again
you very much,
for sponsoring our show and letting us use this place. It's
but
great.
The whole thing, the camera, the tripods, the microphones, computer, the program we use, everything, all that stuff.
Little James.
Can he go flat on his head?
Pardon?
Can he go flat on his head, upside down?
I don't know.
Why did you do it? Or don't you dare?
I wouldn't do that to James.
Oh, see, I would. I would. If it was mine, I'd have him upside down and go, I'm a fiddler, I'm a fidgeter. If you watch the videos, you see my hands move all the time. They flap. Chris stays nice and still, but my hands go all over the shop.
Yep.
I watch it myself and I think, what are you doing?
But yeah, welcome back. Thank you for all your comments again and your subscribing and liking. And
the patronage.
Yep, and comments and questions. And
yep.
It's been really, really good feedback again.
I had a woman the other day walking down the street with all these groceries, walked up to me and didn't say a word. I thought you haven't listened to the Music Bar podcast yet, have you?
That was your wife, wasn't it?
Hey?
That was your wife, wasn't it?
She hasn't listened yet. I don't expect her to. No. She gets to listen to me at home all day. If I went up to her and said, Michelle, you've got to listen to my podcast. She'd go, do I have to? I live with you. I hear you talk about this crap at home all day. Why do I have to listen to the podcast? What's so unique about you? She hasn't got time for that. We've got kids.
Yeah.
I barely got time to do this.
We're fitting it in. That's the main thing.
Fitting it in. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much for everything.
Yeah, look, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the last episode about 1991. What a year. What a year in music.
And there were so many albums we didn't touch on.
I know.
It's crazy.
Well, one you didn't mention, and I just wanted to give a brief mention to, is David Lee Roth's album A Little Ain't Enough. Mm-hmm. Not a great record, but it had a guy called Jason Becker on guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Jason Becker, before he could even tour that album, he replaced Steve Vai, and if you're a guitarist, you know who Steve Vai is.
Yeah.
Have you seen Steve Vai's videos lately? He's doing something with his tuning and his playing style that is out of this world. He's changed the way he plays.
Really?
Uniquely with his fingers. Apparently he did this thing when he was a kid. He looked at his fingers on his left hand and he said, I magically willed them to get longer. And they did. Look at and if you got the video, I've got these short, stubby sausage fingers. So.
I saw a song that he wrote, Steve Vai that is. He had surgery on his arm. So his arm was stuck like this in a sling. Mm-hmm. So he went and got a guitar. And he held the top of the guitar with his hand and wrote a song using one hand only. And he recorded it, and it's actually on YouTube. You can go watch him play the song, just play with one hand on the guitar while he held this. All
right, he's either really clever or a genius, or he's a show-off.
He's probably both.
Well, what I wanted to mention about Jason Becker is, for those who follow rock and roll and guitarists and stuff, Jason Becker suffers from motor neurone disease. Mm-hmm. He developed it 30 years ago now, and he's still alive. This guy Jason cannot move his body. He can only move his eyelids, and he still composes music. Mm-hmm. He has a system where he uses his eyes, and his dad developed it, and he still composes music, and he's producing records still.
Yep.
And he released one a couple of years ago, and if you can, look up Jason Becker on Spotify and listen to that last record of his, and YouTube, and listen to this music. He's using other guitarists and other musicians come in and play with him. Mm-hmm. There's a wonderful video of Eddie Van Halen sitting with Jason Becker and playing, and you can see Eddie feels kind of weird playing, doesn't he?
They've been friends for a very long time, Eddie was.
But Eddie felt very weird about playing in front of Jason, but Jason was like,
yeah, go for it.
Please play.
And you mentioned last podcast, Nita Strauss, who plays guitar for Alice Cooper now. Mm-hmm. She has a solo album as well, but she also knows Jason Becker.
She played on this album.
A YouTube video of her visiting Jason Becker at his house.
Yeah.
And she recently played on only a few days ago, or a week ago, Alice Cooper tour and played one of Jason Becker's very well-known guitars. She was allowed to play it.
She was allowed to play it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's a little-known person in the industry, but honestly, this guy's still producing music.
And if you watch his music when before he got sick, he would have been one of the greatest guitar players ever.
Yes, he would have been.
He was so good. Amazing.
Yeah, he would have been.
Cacophony
with Marty Friedman, who ended up joining Megadeth.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, when those two played together on stage, and what they could do on a guitar was just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
It wasn't really a thing about that late 80s scene, but everyone was in Los Angeles making music. So they were all there.
Yeah.
And they were all producing these rock songs. These guitarists were just popping up. We're always mentioning these guys. We're saying got names like Paul Gilbert.
Yeah.
Some people go, I don't know who that is, or it doesn't mean anything to me. But sometimes when we mention these players, they've played on something that you know and love.
Yeah.
Paul Gilbert played guitar on "To Be With You" by Mr. B.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Nuno Bettencourt played the guitar on
More Than Words.
More Than Words. We mentioned all this.
Nuno toured with Rihanna as well.
That's right, he did too.
So these guitar players who aren't in their own bands anymore have a bit of a hiatus.
Yeah.
Are just joining other bands and playing. So, Rihanna had Nuno on there for quite some time, actually.
Yeah.
Phenomenal guitar player.
Exactly.
Could play anything. So,
he can.
He can.
They reckon it's... I saw this thing on line once about Nuno Bettencourt when he... it was him that played... They used his Flight of the Bumblebee or something for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yep.
That bit where Mozart is playing in the music shop. Mm-hmm. That's actually Nuno Bettencourt on guitar.
Yep. Because he recorded that song on one of the albums.
Yeah.
Fly the Bumblebee.
Yes.
Quick as anything.
Oh, his version, and it's not messy. It's not in any way. Yeah, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So of course, you all know Eddie Van Halen with "Beat It" and the Van Halen song. So, we don't get into a lot of the obscure ones. We just know who they are because we used to know who our band members were, our favourite band. We all know the members of our bands, but nowadays you kind of don't. I think I saw Bruce Springsteen say in his keynote speech at SXSW one year that U2 was probably the last band he'll know all the members of.
Yeah.
He couldn't tell you the guitarist for this band, or I've said to Chris off air, who's the guitarist for Matchbox 20?
No idea.
Couldn't tell you, could you? Do you know Maroon 5 has 6 members in it, but I only tell you that Adam Levine's the lead singer.
Yeah.
It's the way it is now. We don't know. Not that you care, because you listen to them, you think, well, I don't care who the guitar player is.
No. But I think if I was a fan of the band, like I was, or I am with other bands, I would go look into it. I would research it and learn it. But they kind of I don't have that with the new bands like I used to when I was younger. So I don't go research, buy the magazines and learn the names of the...
Well, we used to.
Used to, but not anymore. Because there's no real music now that I'm going to ever become a fan of. It's going to take over someone like Metallica or Van Halen or Dream Theater or something, So... I know all those band members, and always will do.
Yeah. My brain is full of band members' names.
Yeah.
Even Australian bands and all that sort of stuff, and whether it's a blessing or a curse, but I like knowing this guy played with that guy, and that's why I used to like liner notes on albums.
That's why I was interested in looking into Mother Love Bone and to Temple of the Dog, because there's a band before Mother Love Bone that two of the guys were from Pearl Jam were in before that.
Green River.
So and they were probably the start of the Seattle scene that became the grunge scene.
Green River and the Melvins,
because they were all connected.
Yeah, they all knew each other. And that's what a local scene does bring too.
Yeah.
Everyone knows each other, and everyone plays with each other, and they all jam, and they're all mates, and they're all friends.
And when the right connection joins, you get Pearl Jam.
You get a Pearl, that
kind of thing.
That's what a local music scene can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really does. It creates these things, which is great.
Yeah.
And I love to encourage them.
Yeah.
You need your local music scene. Everyone needs Brisbane. I've always been a fan of the Brisbane local music scene, and one of my favourite albums this year is the DZ Death Rays album, Positive Rising Part 2.
All right.
It's probably my album of the year so far.
Okay.
Brisbane band. Okay. Loved Easy Death Rays. Love them.
I know them.
Oh, 2 guitarists and a drummer, and they make some noise.
Right.
And they did a version this year with one of the Australian rappers, I can't remember which one it was, of NERD's Rockstar.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out. Okay. Really, really cool.
You've listened to Lars's kids band?
No, I haven't yet. They haven't actually released. Have they released something?
I've seen live footage, them jamming.
It's Lars's son and Corey Taylor's son, isn't it?
No, it's Lars's 2 sons.
What about Corey Taylor's son is in a band now too? From Slipknot. Corey Taylor and Sean Cran. Okay. Their kids have formed a band as well.
Right.
Keep the fires burning, guys.
What was it? The name of the band, I can't remember, it was from Lars's children, 2 boys. I can't remember the name of the band, but it's only a drummer. One's a drummer, one's a bass player. And the bass player sings.
Like Royal Blood.
Like Royal Blood, they're just a bass player and
they make some noise.
And a drummer, yeah.
Oh, look, the White Stripes are just a guitarist and a drummer.
Yeah. Have you heard the band from Australia called Overreactor?
No, I have not.
Because that's just a drummer and a singer.
Wow.
So
I tell you, Overreactor.
Yeah.
I'm going to look them up. I'm going to listen to that. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, talking about this is the movie Sound of Metal that came out last year. Not a bad film. It got nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. But what I liked is at the start, they were like this experimental metal band. It's just literally, he was a heavy metal drummer, the main character, and his girlfriend singing and playing guitar. Brilliant. I love the opening song. I'm thinking, is the music like this through the whole film? No, it's not. That was a bit,
Fair enough.
I've been looking for that song too. It's fantastic. The song they open the movie with. It's really, I like it anyway. I like a bit of experimental stuff. So Overreactor. I'm going to check it out. But look, Chris, we haven't got to the subject of what we're talking about.
No, we haven't. We're already 10 minutes in.
I know. We did a 500 best songs according to Rolling Stone the other week.
Yep.
Well, of course, all these things open up the veritable can of worms.
Absolutely.
Things they are. And we all had great intentions that we were going to talk about our favourite songs. And literally it was the last 5 minutes of the podcast where we just went, I like this song and I like that song and I like this song and why do you like it? That's good, that's great, and let's go, we've got to go. So let's have a little bit of time and we can talk about more than just our 3 because I think when we talk about our favourite songs, it might make you, the listener, viewer, whatever, well, that's what my favourite, or I agree, or I disagree, or here's mine, because I really would like to know yours.
Yeah.
So let's reiterate with Chris. Tell us, again, your favourite song.
Okay. So my first song, number 1 song of favourite song of all time is Dreams by Van Halen off the 5150 album.
Mm-hmm. This is an interesting choice because not many people would pick the Sammy Hagar era of Van Halen.
No, most likely not. But it's not about the song itself. It's about the lyrics. It's about everything about it. It's just everything about that song is just, to me, it was the right place at the right time. The feeling I was going through, emotional connection to it. So just you connected to it. I connected to that song in a way that just has never changed. And it's always been the song that I loved. I've never seen Van Halen play it, but I've seen Sammy Hagar play it when I was at Cabo San Lucas in Mexico.
You said that, did he? He said he just played it acoustically.
He played it acoustically, just with Michael Anthony, who was playing bass. They played it like not the rock song that we know it, but another version of it, and I just loved it, and I was teary, and I haven't listened to it since Eddie died, because I won't listen to it for a while. But yeah, that's my number 1 song of all time. Brilliant. Number 2 was Metallica One.
Good choice. I mean, you're right, but
Metallica One.
It's not my favourite Metallica song, but I know why you pick one.
Well, to me, it is one of my favourite songs of theirs, if not the favourite, just because the time of where I was in life, it was the first video clip. I was sitting there watching Rage every night, and I saw it. It really just shone through the rest of the other things on Rage at night. The melodic side of it, the solos of it, the footage of the video clip, everything was just perfect. But the song itself was just so kind of, the opening was very quiet, and then it went into this real thrash, and just everything about it. So emotional side of it, the connection to it, to where I was in life, it's always going to be one of my favourite songs.
One thing I've always liked, I think I might have mentioned this before, about Metallica, what I like is they're not afraid to be big. Even when they shortened the songs down on the Black Album, they still weren't afraid to be big. It's like they have this James Hetfield. I've got to put it probably down to him. He just has this idea that his songs are like movies in a way.
Yeah.
They start somewhere and they got to end in a different spot.
Yeah.
He doesn't write pop songs as such. He could. He could write a pop song. But
well, he wrote Nothing Else Matters, and did you see them on Howard Stern the other day when they had Miley Cyrus?
Yes.
And Elton John made an appearance.
And Elton John says it's one of the best songs ever recorded.
One of the best songs ever written was Nothing Else Matters.
And James started crying.
It got teary. So, and he didn't write that song for Metallica. He wrote it for himself because it was about a breakup.
He was on the phone to his girlfriend, he said. He was just, because it's all open string.
Open string.
There's no left hand on it. It's just all beat, and it's all the open strings.
Yeah.
And he managed to write this piece with open string.
And then Lars heard it one day when Lars wasn't meant to be there, and he heard it, and he's like, "Oh, what's that?" And he goes, "Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it." And then they played it again. They played it, and he eventually, okay, we'll play it. And they wrote Nothing Else Matters.
It's like what Slash did with Sweet Child of Mine.
Like who, sorry?
Sweet Child of Mine.
Slash it's the same thing.
He was just doing this finger exercise that he did. This silly little melody he came up with, and Axl went, "What's that?"
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, it's nothing. It's stupid." No. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm writing a song about my girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Let's go.
It worked.
It worked.
Yeah, no, same kind of thing. So, yeah, One was just an amazing song, and it's like I said, where I was in life at the time, back in the 80s, everything was just perfect to line up to make that song reach me the way it did, and I've never ever. People don't like the way it's mixed and all that. And the whole
it's mixed terribly. It's horribly.
I just love it. I think the whole album is great the original way.
I just remember when I first, because that was the first Metallica album I bought. I'd read all this stuff about Metallica, right into guitar players and heavy metal. So I'm like, righto.
Yep.
I didn't even know a Metallica. I just bought that album. hadn't even heard one.
Oh, yeah.
And I bought the album, and I heard Black, and I went, "This sounds like it's recorded in a toilet." But then I didn't realise that wasn't Metallica's thing.
Yeah.
Everything sounded like it was recorded in a toilet. No, Master of Puppets. When I heard that one, I went, "Well, that sounds better."
Yeah, well, that's because Cliff was around. Cliff would never have let that happen to him if he was part of the Justice recording. There's no way in the world.
The Justice
Jason
League
was there, and Jason had no saying anything at the time.
Poor Jason.
He was trying to make it, just stay quiet and go, "Oh, I can't believe I'm in Metallica."
If anyone copped a Raw deal, there had to be a bass player in the biggest selling metal band of all time. What a Raw thing that happened.
Yeah.
Rob Trujillo's the luckiest guy in the world, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Crazy. That was a number 2 song. Number 3 was Orion.
Metallica.
Instrumental from Master of Puppets album. Again, the quiet part of that halfway through goes quiet, and just a few guitars, and still to me is one of the best pieces of music ever written.
I like the first bit with the bass through the pedal. Yep. That's my favourite part of the song.
Okay.
When it got to the guitar bit, I kind of went, "Oh yeah, okay."
Yeah, just everything about it.
Just that whole groove and the I'm just making guitar noises with my mouth.
So that's the top 3.
We're going to do a whole show of just making guitar noises with our mouth. That'll probably get to the stage. We'll get to like episode 47 or something, and Chris and I'll look at each other and go, "What do we talk about now? Let's just make guitar noises with our mouth."
A solo.
Yeah. I like this solo. Remember this one?
That was my top 3. What was yours again?
My top 3, number 1 was Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. Love it.
I listened to it on the way in the truck the other day, actually.
Yeah?
The Pulse version of it. I can see why you like it. Yeah. Guaranteed. It's good.
The way Gilmore takes that solo and just keeps it going and keeps it going. And he builds it and builds it and builds it. And it's just beautiful. Whereas I feel the studio version, it was like Roger Waters kind of went, no, you don't get too much, David.
Yeah.
I'm going to fade it out here. Just as the solo really starts to build.
Yeah.
I love all the versions of it. It's just a song that, hit a 17-year-old broken-hearted kid.
So why were you broken-hearted?
Girlfriend dumped me.
Ah.
What else would I be broken-hearted for?
Shut out.
Oh, no, I don't want to. It's all good. It's in the past, man. The girlfriend dumped me, so I don't know, the whole world. But there are actually 2 songs on that. I always remember that. This is in my top 5. This is not my number 2 favourite, but I'm going to get you here. The other song that got me, and I remember Henry Rollins talking about when you get dumped by the girl, you go into your room, you get a little cape out of a towel or something like that, get your little pen or your carrot stick or whatever it is, and you put on Ronnie James Dio.
Right.
And somehow it makes the breakup feel, and you sing along with Ron.
Right.
And when I heard Henry say that, I went, "Oh my God, I did that.
Did you?
I actually did that." Not so much the cape, But it was not so much, I heard Comfortably Numb, and a friend of mine had lent me the Rainbow Rising tape.
Yep.
And I put on Stargazer, and I was singing along to Ron to my broken heart right there. So
that's funny.
I've jumped there, but Stargazer is in. That's why when you say you hate Ronnie Dio, and I think I don't get it.
Yep.
Stargazer is incredible. And when you're feeling down, there's something about hearing those Ronnie James Dio. Henry Rollins is right. Ronnie Dio, it's just like, yeah!
Yeah, nah.
And he's always got some kind of, woman, you're evil, get out of here. You are not righteous. He has this righteous way of singing, and Stargazer just, and then that whole album has things like Tarot Woman, and Do You Close Your Eyes? You're thinking of me when we're making love, and he sings it like it's the most important thing in the world.
Yeah. I remember my stepbrother, he got dumped by his long-term girlfriend when we were all kids still. Yeah. He was like late teens, and I was early teens at the time. And he went, I remember, because his room was downstairs, and we used to hear Hell's Bells and, Number of the Beast, and all of a sudden we heard Lionel Richie.
Oh, my God.
And I can't remember the song from Lionel Richie.
Oh, my God.
But it was his girlfriend's favourite song, so he was listening to that, and I could hear him crying, and my younger stepbrother and myself went around to the girl's house and said, can you please go back to him, because he's listening to Lionel Richie, and he must be devastated. And she's like, no, I'm not going back to him.
There's nothing else like teenage heartbreak, is there?
No, it's funny.
Because when you get to our age, it's all divorced then, and then it's just like, oh.
So, yeah, Lionel Richie made a big impression on him for those days that he was sad. Enough for me and my younger brother to go and knock on her door and say, he misses you, go back to him, please. We've never heard Lionel Richie come from that.
I remember reading this article, there's this whole thing they call divorce rock. It came out in the early 80s.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, Phil Collins' album, Face Value, and In the Air Tonight, that whole album is about his divorce. Right. See, all these rock stars, the 70s rock stars and stuff, by the time they hit the 80s, they were in their 30s, and they were all starting to get divorced.
Right.
And also it was the time in America when a lot of people, divorce became like this hot topic in the 70s. Kramer versus Kramer was the box office winning hit
movie
of that year.
Yep.
About a divorce. And it was like this, I remember this guy writing this article saying, yes, my mum had REO Speedwagon's High Infidelity album.
Oh, wow.
She'd just gotten divorced, and she played it non-stop. Keep on loving you. Take it on the run, He said, and it was all, and he looked back on it, and he looked, all that stuff that was sort of big in the 80s rock, they're all breakup songs.
Yeah.
Lionel Richie, they're divorce songs.
It's funny, isn't it?
It is funny. Look, my number 2 is not a divorce song. It is Heroes by David Bowie.
Yep.
Triumphant in my. That's the only way I could describe it. The time when he gets, I remember standing by the wall. It's just a beautiful, epic song. He's about. I love Heroes because it makes you feel like doesn't matter. Well, we can be heroes for a day.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what's going on in your life, but we could feel like something.
Yep.
For your day.
Yep.
And I think that's sort of something that I love about that song.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose that's probably what it is.
Yep.
Because my number 3 is Bruce Springsteen's Racing in the Street. Now, it's a very dour song.
Yep.
It's a song that is not, when I first heard, Bruce Springsteen came to Australia in 1985. This was the very first show I went and saw, and everyone was just buzzing about it. I remember listening to my old FM radio station that I listened to when I was a kid, and they were talking about Racing in the Street. And Bruce sang this, and he sang Badlands. I know Badlands. I love that song. He sang Born to Run. I know Born to Run. He sang most of the Born to... I know the Born in the USA album. Yeah, I like the old stuff better. Yeah. He sang Stuff from the River. Yeah. And he said he sang Racing in the Street, and it sent shivers down my spine. And I went, I have no idea what this song is, but I have to hear this song. So he did it at the show, and it wasn't what I was expecting.
Right.
It was this moody song, green light on Bruce, and then this beautiful epic piano solo at the end. And I went, it's not what I expected, but I love that song.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, the next year, he released this live triple box set with that live version, with a live version of it on there. It goes for 8-9 minutes.
Wow.
And that was it for me. I was like, that's the song.
Yep.
That song rules, and that became my favourite Spring. And he's never played it since I've seen it then.
Okay.
Between 1985 and last time I saw him in 2016, he's never done it again, the sod. He knows it's my favourite song too. But see, when you go to a Springsteen concert now, people now take signs with them to the shows. Play this. And sometimes it's songs that he and the band haven't played in years. Yep. And Bruce will go through and he'll pick them and he shows it to the band. We're going to play this. So that's where the Springsteen shows change their set list. He goes, we were going to do this, but... And sometimes I like that. And sometimes I'm like, why isn't anyone down there asking for... I'm going down? Really? That's your favourite Bruce Springsteen song? Come on, Racing in the Street. But what I like lyrically too, it's about a guy who goes racing in the street in his car. But it's like the whole thing, he picks up this girl, and then the last verse is that the girl and him they don't break up, they're falling apart. Really? It's this slow, we got married, but things didn't work out the way we wanted them to. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be a lot of the thing. I think that's where the connection is with Bruce Springsteen. I mentioned it in the episode we talked about this. Yeah. But I think that's his connection, is people say, he's connected to the working class. The guy's never had a job in his life. Mm-hmm. He'll tell you that straight away. He didn't drive a car for years, but he seems to have this affinity with motor vehicles and his... What it is I think he gets, though, is that everyone has dreams. He says that in Badlands. You got to talk about a dream, you try to make it real, but you wake up in the night with a fear so real. He wrote that when he was 28. Mm. When you're 28, you kind of feel, late 30s, you kind of feel the world's not... Is the world turning out the way I wanted it to? There's another song on his Darkness on the Edge of Town album, the title track, where it talks about, some folks, everybody's got a secret, something they can't face until one day just jumps up and gets you. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is perceptive stuff. Yeah. From essentially a young man, he seemed to be able to tap into this whole thing of life isn't going to work out the way you wanted it to. Yeah. But that's no reason to give up. Yeah. And probably the best one was when 9/11 happened. The story goes, somebody yelled out at Bruce, "We need you right now." They saw him driving the street and they said, "We need you right now." And he wrote this album called The Rising, where all the songs are literally about bad things happening, but not giving up. Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the connection. He understands that. Yeah. He understands that there's joy in little things in life. There's joy in big things. There's sadness as well. Yeah. We got to kind of, it all goes together. Mm. So, yeah.
You don't have sadness unless you have anger, and everything else goes, because that's what makes those emotions different. You need both.
You need both.
Yeah.
I think Bowie kind of gets that thing too. His songs can be quite joyful, and there's also some very sad ones. He understood that. Pink Floyd seem to be incredibly morose all the time. But then you get Kiss, that are one of my favourite bands, that are happy all the time. Mm. It's funny that you find a Van Halen song as emotional.
Well, it's dreams. It's like you said before, you can get through things. Dreams is a great title. Everyone has dreams in their life, and the chorus is about getting higher and higher and trying to go above everything.
I remember when I first heard that song, I couldn't believe the vocal. Nice. You sing it higher, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And it did make you feel...
And there's 2 video clips for it. The original video clip for Dreams is the Blue Angels,
which was the most popular one.
Yeah, and then they released one later on where they had the secret concert at the Whiskey Go-Go, and they end up playing there, and they announced it on the radio, and then you see the footage of that being filmed now, and they recorded Dreams, and the streets of LA are just, people were just running to try to get tickets for this one-off gig in the middle of nowhere.
Because that's like Van Halen were like...
Yeah.
And everyone... that was a weird moment.
The original one, watching these planes do the stunts... Mm. It's the
Blue Angels,
stunt team. So watching them do what they do, and it's just incredible. But it kind of really lifts you up, So if you ever felt sad or whatever it was, that was a song to listen to.
I read a quote from John Bon Jovi the other day where they were talking about how rockers reacted to grunge, because a lot of people say it killed the LA music scene, but it did, and it
didn't.
It didn't. The LA scene was...
It wouldn't have died if it wasn't already disappearing anyway.
It was disappearing. If you ever watched if you ever watched that fantastic documentary, the Decline of Western Civilization 2, the Metal Years, it's all on YouTube. Watch it. It was disappearing up its own arse.
Yep.
It was totally disappearing, you know. It was so self-involved and into itself. It was no longer joining. People no longer felt like they were part of their community. When they heard grunge, they saw what people saw when it came to the grunge movement, I suppose, if you want to call it that, was themselves on stage.
Mm.
They didn't see guys with hair and spandex and chicks everywhere. They saw themselves, a bunch of kids.
And that's the same with
bunch
middle
of guys.
thrash in San Francisco. You were just an angry guy who wore denim. Well, now you got a band to go follow, bands to follow. You know, you got something to go and join and be part of. But everyone likes to join things. People follow sporting teams. You know, I'm a Cronulla supporter.
Oh yeah.
People love watching sporting teams and connecting with it and buying them the T-shirts and that kind of thing. Same with bands. You know?
I think that's the thing is music. That's probably what we're trying to get through with episodes like this is the connection that music does have.
Yeah,
and it does. It connects emotionally. I'll tell you this story. This is one of my favourite music connecting stories. I'm a Kiss fan, as you probably know.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those songs that does lift you up is "Shout It Out Loud" by Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
If ever I'm feeling down, "Shout It Out Loud" is the happiest song to me.
Yep.
It makes me feel like I just want to jump up and down and shout it out loud. And another one that makes me feel happy is "Salisbury Hill" by Peter Gabriel.
Oh wow!
It does.
There you go.
I know you found out lyrically it was about him leaving Genesis and making the hard decision to go off and do his own thing. And when I read that, I went, no wonder it makes me feel joyful. You know, there's a trepidation in the song, but there's also this sense of joy.
Mm.
So yeah, those two songs make me feel happy. But yeah, when we saw Kiss on the reunion tour, so this is the first, they're back with the makeup. This is 1997, and we're all mad for Kiss again. Mm. Kiss has just become like the biggest band in the world all over again. And they came to Brisbane, and I'm sitting there waiting for them, and I'm sitting beside this guy, and this guy's like, mate, got to talking, because Kiss fans do that.
Yep.
They just, it's like, that is a community.
Yeah.
If there's any band that creates a community, it's Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's something about Kiss fans. Something about them. Anyway, this guy's sitting there talking to me, and he says to me, do you think they're going to play Beth? Now, Beth is probably, to me, the weakest Kiss track.
Oh, really?
But for some people,
yeah.
it's clearly special.
Mm.
It's just a ballad. It's just Peter Criss sings this dopey, Beth, I hear you calling. Anyway, I said to this guy, Peter Criss is back in the band. Of course they're going to do Beth.
Mm.
Of course they're going to do Beth. He said, oh, man, I hope they do Beth. I just hope they do Beth. Anyway, we're all standing up during the show, having a great time. And then lights go down a bit. Then Peter Criss comes out the front. I got a song for everybody. And he sits on his stool and he plays to a tape. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, only Kiss could play to a tape and the crowd goes for it. So Peter Criss is playing to the tape of Beth. Beth, I hear you calling. Thank God the song's only about 2.5 minutes long. Anyway, I looked to my right where this guy was sitting, and he is down on the... crying his eyes out. I'm thinking, that guy's life is now complete.
Yeah.
His life is now complete.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'd probably be like that if I ever saw David Gilmour with Pink Floyd doing Comfortably Numb again.
Mm.
That'd probably be me. I'd probably be, or if Bruce Springsteen ever did Racing in the Street.
Yeah,
I'd be, on the ground, he did Racing.
If I see Sammy Hagar, because obviously Eddie can't be part of it, but if Sammy Hagar ever plays Dreams again, and I'm there watching it, that will be when I crack. Because it's going to be...
I don't know if I'd want to be there.
Wear some gumboots.
There's a lot building. You're going to be like a cartoon character, they just like, the tears just fly, like Peppa Pig, the tears just fly out everywhere. And it's going to be like, there's nothing left of the guy.
Yeah,
He's a potato chip. He has no moisture left in his body. We have put water down his throat, and none of it's getting in there.
So that's them. Top 3 of each of us again. Now, 4.
Well, this is where...
Let's not put them in order, just favourite songs.
Just favourite songs, just things that come out at you. And, I mentioned Stargazer by Rainbow. Yeah. Another one I love that always gets me, and I have to listen to it. It's like one of the, you've got that song that you have to stop and listen to.
Mm-hmm.
No, shh. Mm-hmm. That's when my wife wants to talk to me. It's like, okay, shh. Shh. Listen to this bit. 46 and 2 by Tool.
Oh, really?
Oh, I love that song.
Really?
Wow. From the opening, the bass, all the way that song. Another one builds up.
So what year was that brought out?
1996 that came out.
So
on
where
there,
were you
I don't
when
know.
you heard that for the first time?
Just listening on the radio.
Okay, so it wasn't like an emotional breakup
No,
or anything like that.
no.
Just the song got you.
Just the song got me.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things you're hearing it. You know, I think I was in the car somewhere and I heard it and it just made me feel like I just got all tense and in the moment, you know, and I just kind of went, yeah, man, you know, like this is what it is. This is something. I'm hearing something, you know. Yeah. So yeah. What about for you? What's your next one for you?
For me, would probably be one of the Dream Theater songs off the album Images and Words. Take the Time is a great song emotionally. It's not an emotional song for me, but just the song itself. It has so many different styles in it. It's a long song. It's one of the first songs I heard from Dream Theater, which really got me to like Dream Theater. They also have a song on that album called Surrounded, which I just love. It's a ballad, but yeah, that album is just brilliant. I think it's the second album they released.
Okay.
This was back in the day.
I'm not a Dream Theater fan. I find them a bit too technical for me to get into, but clearly you like them. But did they sort of come out fully formed in that first two records? Like
They've changed a few times since, but the original three, John Petrucci, who plays guitar, who's probably one of the greatest guitar players ever
he's up there,
known on the planet. John Myong, the bass player, and back then it was Mike Portnoy.
Mike Portnoy,
the drummer.
Yeah,
they formed this band when they were all three of them were at Berkeley
College of Music.
So they went to Berkeley, they met each other,
and they
quit Berkeley.
You got to be good to even get into Berkeley.
Yeah. So those three are just brilliant players in their own right. They met, they quit Berkeley and created Dream Theater with a different different keyboard player and a different singer. And then later on, they've had a few changes, but those three have been there until would have been 2011.
Portnoy left. Hasn't been keen to go back either, has he?
No, he won't.
Yeah, there's bad blood there, isn't there?
Well, not anymore, because he just recorded Liquid Extension again now with Jordan, the keyboard player from Dream Theater, and John Petrucci, and a bass player called Tony Levin.
Oh, Tony Levin.
So they did an album way back in the...
Tony Levin was in King Crimson, man.
Yeah.
You know.
So those four got together years ago and did an instrumental album. Liquid Extension Experiment.
But you probably might find, like they do with all these bands, they think, oh yeah, I've worked with you now, but God, if I had to work with you properly and tour with you again, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's like Kiss. They always bitching on at each other. But then you'll see Ace Frehley and Gene Simmons do a gig together, and the next thing they're talking smack to each other in the press. You know, I think it's just one of those things. You know.
Yeah. So they just recorded their new album, the four of them.
Okay.
During COVID time, they were doing a new Dream Theater album, but they decided to just get together and do a new instrumental album, which I love their instrumental albums because I love Dream Theater and I have done ever since I heard this album I was talking about, Images and Words. But I tend to not like everything they do because I'm sick of I'm tired of hearing the singer. He's very, very good.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I didn't like about him.
His voice doesn't change.
Yeah, I didn't like the singing. I thought the singing
suits some songs, but after hearing a few albums of it, I just wish he could do a bit more with his voice, which is pretty bad of me to say because I can't sing like he can, but it is what it is, and I'm tired of his voice, but their instrumentals are just brilliant. So when they sing a song when they play a song which has got a little bit of lyrics in it, and they get into the guitar part or you get in the keyboard part, whatever it is, it's just amazing to listen to. So I like the instrumentals pretty more than some of the songs' recent albums.
When I mentioned Tool before, I love Tool.
Yep.
They're one of my all-time favourite bands. I love them. I can't sort of think of when they produced something that wasn't short of brilliant. Mm-hmm. It's brilliant or it's not quite as brilliant but they're an amazing band. But the guitarist Adam Jones worked with the bass player Justin Chancellor and the drummer Danny Carey, who is an amazing drummer. Yep. He does look like he's got 3 arms. Oh yeah. You know. You said you thought they played along to a tape. The music's very intricate.
No. I thought that he sang.
He sang to a tape. Okay, sorry. I don't. Yeah, their music's very intricate. The timing on their stuff's very intricate. You know. Adam Jones recently did a thing for Gibson guitars, which is only on YouTube,
Right.
called The Witness, which is an instrumental piece that he did with the other two members of Tool.
Right.
And it's brilliant.
Okay.
It's an amazing piece of music. And it made me think, why don't these guys just release instrumental music? I don't always need Maynard's vocals. I know it's all part of Tool, but if you guys released just instrumental music, because I love instrumental stuff.
Yeah.
I do. I would buy that. I would get into that. I love that, you know?
I love it. I love instrumental music.
Yeah.
So that's probably the four for me. Those two songs from number 4, or my fourth. But then 2 songs from Pantera, which I love. The first song I ever heard from Pantera was Mouth for War. It was off their, well, theoretically third album, but...
Volga Display of Power. I think that is one of the great metal albums.
Oh.
I will stand by that. That's in the top 10.
Yeah.
Volga
My
Display
band
of
used to
Power.
play that song. We used to love it. But that song to me just shows the ability of all the players, the guys playing in the band, the singer. Phil, I think, has got one of the greatest rock voices ever. He can sing everything that the guy from Dream Theater can't.
Yeah.
You know? So, and the guy from Dream Theater, he's trained classically. You know, he's brilliant, but he can't do a lot of the growling. Which sometimes I think Dream Theater, they play some really heavy music, and they have this high pitched voice on it. It doesn't match. So I think when you get Phil from Pantera playing their songs like Mouth for War, it's brilliant.
I saw Pantera live, and I still say they're one of my favourite live bands I've ever seen. But I was amazed at how Phil could keep that up all night.
Yeah. Well, then he sings my favourite song from them also is Cemetery Gates.
Oh, okay.
And that's where you hear him sing.
Yeah.
How good he is. He's really high, he's really growling, he does what he has to do for the song. It's just brilliant. So those songs from Pantera are just amazing songs. And I met them, and they played when they toured for Far Beyond Driven. Didn't really think much of it. Got them signed CDs, you know, that kind of thing, and they played the next day and that night, and we went and watched them. Great mosh pit. It was so much fun.
Do you realise though when that album Far Beyond Driven came out in '94, metal was kind of done.
Yeah, they kind of rejuvenated.
They kind of
like invented their own kind of like they called it power groove.
Yeah, it was a groove. It was a groove.
Real groove.
But I just remember your metal because of the whole Seattle rock. Because those bands from Seattle were heavy.
Yep.
They had a heaviness to them. Soundgarden had that low tuning. There was a heaviness to it. Melvins had this low tuning to their stuff. So metal as such wasn't really happening.
No.
And when these guys came out in '94, they were kind of like the only metal band around.
Yep.
And because they were because Metallica by then were not, well, they were still touring the Black Album by '94. But yeah, Pantera kind of kept the flag flying a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you read a lot of stuff, the '90s wasn't very good for heavy metal.
The mid-90s, no.
Mid-90s wasn't.
And that's when Load came out and those things later on. Still kind of disappeared. But just to touch base quickly on a couple of other songs. Belinda Carlisle's album, Runaway Horses, Summer Rain, Leave the Light On. They are brilliant. They always will be brilliant.
You love Belinda Carlisle.
No one is going to ever change my mind.
You know what song I really love? I'm going to admit it right now. Fantasy by Mariah Carey.
Really?
Love it.
Oh, there you go.
It's good. Its sample is the Tom Tom Club song, Genius of Love.
Yep.
Love that song.
Yep.
Love Genius of Love. And then hear Mariah Carey do it. And I remember when it came out, I just went, I love this. Yeah. This is 1997 or 9. You know, I'm listening to all this heavy stuff, and then that comes out, and I'm just like, I love this song. Yeah. I think we've all got to have one of those.
We've got Janet Jackson as well.
She's pretty cool.
Black Cat, Rhythm Nation.
Rhythm Nation's a kicking song.
That album was brilliant. Rhythm Nation was an amazing album, and then the album after
Jimmy
that,
Jam and Terry Lewis produced that from The Time.
Yeah. Janet Jackson back then was brilliant. Saw her live, amazing. And that's those.
I saw Michael Jackson live.
Did you really?
'87 Bad Tour.
Oh, there you go.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic.
Of course, it would be. He's Michael Jackson.
I know. It was
as a performer and artist, he's one of the greatest.
Brilliant. This is when people said he performed in a plastic bubble and no one could get near him. Far from it. I've never seen a performer with the audience in the palm of his hand like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Amazing performer.
Yeah.
I know some people have said to me, "Oh, really, Michael Jackson?" But I'm telling you, he wasn't who he was.
Who was the guitar player then?
Jennifer Patton.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, she had the big white hair.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Great guitar player. Very good at finger tapping.
Yes, she was able to do the Beat It solo very well. Yeah. I want to give you another song. This song changed my life. I haven't talked about this one yet. Faith No More's Epic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this song changed my life. And so, we've talked a lot about what we were listening to. We talked about that transition from 1989 to 1991.
Yep.
We talked about how all these albums were out. But in 1989, I was listening to Whitesnake. I was listening to Motley Crue's Dr. Feelgood. I was listening to Aerosmith's Pump. They were probably the Pump and Dr. Feelgood were probably the two albums I listened to more than anything.
Yep.
Skid Row first album as well.
Yep.
Listen to those three constantly, waiting for the new Guns N' Roses album.
Yep.
Waiting for the new Metallica album, I suppose. Just there was that period where nothing much was really going on. I remember Dave Grohl saying when Nirvana was signed, the biggest selling artist was Wilson Phillips.
Oh, wow.
Hold On by Wilson Phillips was the biggest selling single of 1990. The biggest selling album was Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him, MC Hammer.
And
of 1990.
Wilson Phillips' song is played on the radio every day. I hear it.
Yeah.
Still to this day.
Still to this day, Wilson Phillips. And he said that was the musical landscape. I think the only real heavy band out there was Living Colour.
Wow.
Because they were black, they were hard to cross over.
Yeah.
But Vernon Reed, whoa, another phenomenal guitarist.
Yeah.
So they had two albums out by that, but there was this transition. Nothing much was really happening. And I remember reading, I knew of Faith No More. They'd come out, it wasn't like they snuck up on me. They kind of didn't. I'd heard We Care a Lot, and I thought that's a cool, funky song.
Yep.
That's all I thought it was, just a cool, funky song. I thought they were great. And then I read in a guitar magazine about the new album. Hadn't heard it, just heard opens with this heavy riff, a Geddy Lee type singing, and then it goes into a gut bucket rap, heavy guitars, and finishes on classical piano.
All right.
What album finishes and starts like that?
Yeah.
I thought, I have to listen to that record.
Yeah.
That to me has got everything I want in a song. At the time, I think Guns N' Roses had released Civil War, and I loved the long, epic song that they'd done. And I remember I saw the epic video, and they weren't talking about the first song when they talked about the Geddy Lee singing was the first one, From Out of Nowhere. That's the first song on the Real Thing album. But I heard epic, and I just went,
wow.
What is, to quote the song, what is it? What is this? You like with one?
Yeah.
For me, that was epic.
Yeah.
Jaw to the floor. I was like, a song can do this? This is rock and roll now? Listen to it again. It was one of those ones, I had to hear it again. What it opens with that, it had a keyboard, beautiful mix of keyboards and guitars. The guitar was heavy.
Jim Martin.
Oh, he said he tried to make it sound like someone vomiting. The guitar was heavy. The bass playing had that slapping bass that was becoming and rapping over. Well, I liked hip hop, so it was like there. And then solo was killer, and then it ends with the classical piano. And what?
Then the piano blows up.
And then the piano blows up. And the fish dying. But it was, to me, it was like the song itself was what?
Yeah.
This, and it went number one in Australia. So I wasn't the only one who kind of went.
Yeah, we played that live.
Did you?
No, absolutely.
Good on you.
Great song.
It's a great song.
Faith No More are brilliant.
They were brilliant. And because I bought the album and went, this guy's a brilliant. I remember I bought the next album, Angel Dust, and kind of went, scratched my head and went, what the hell are they doing? But after about 3 or 4 listens, I kind of went, oh yeah, I get it. And these guys are out there. They're doing
sometimes
stuff.
you have to listen to a song a few times. It's a good song, but you listen to it more and more and it grows on you. And I love the growing songs. Because
they're the best ones.
They seem to last longer in your catalogue than the ones that you listen to straight away and go, this is great. And eventually kind of like they wear thin.
Yeah.
So that was definitely an album I thought was... that album was a grower, I guess you could call it.
You talk about songs that wear thin, and we'll close it up here on this one. Because you talk about, you hear songs all the time, and you just sort of think to yourself, oh, I've heard that many times. So if I never hear Pink Floyd's Money again, it's one of those songs for me. It's Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. If I never hear it again, I won't be mad.
Yeah, and if I don't ever hear Colette Ring My Bell, I'll be happy.
How often were you hearing that song? How do we start And then you go to these pop songs. What are you hiding?
Because she was like the Britney Spears of Australia for so long.
What are you going to do? When you go and see Sammy Hagar live, are you going to stand there and you're going to be crying? And then you're going to be going, you can ring my bell. It's all going to come out. Belinda Carlisle songs. And it's going, Chris, what are you holding in? These black T-shirts are only just a thin veneer, man. That's what this podcast is for. It's just I'm telling you now, we are laying out Chris Butenhouse.
It's therapy.
It's therapy, clearly.
That was a joke. That was a funny song when it came out.
It was, wasn't it?
But she
It
was,
was just a pop song.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
I was just joking. But yeah, she was like the Britney Spears of Australia at the time.
Yeah.
Colette. With all the fluoro clothing, bikey clothing, whatever.
What the hell was I talking about before you mentioned Colette? What was I talking about? Oh, God. I'm not going to rewind it because that's the whole thing. It's live.
It is live.
It's podcast live to air.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, God. Let's wrap it up.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Who knows what to expect in this show?
Colette just did my head in. I'm going to listen back when I edit and I go, that's what I was talking about. Oh, Chris, I want to bring it up again. That's right. 2 songs. Yep. It's not Colette.
No.
It's 2 songs that I can listen to whenever they're on the radio. I will turn up and hear them in full. Mm-hmm. Alive and Kicking by Simple Minds.
Really?
I love that. I love Simple Minds. I think they're great. Really? But Alive and Kicking, great song.
There you go.
Running Down a Dream by Tom Petty.
Okay.
I still love that song.
Yep.
As soon as I hear it, turn it up. Good car driving song. That Mike Campbell guitar solo at the end. Perfect. It's almost perfect in a way.
I think I've mentioned this before, but Goanna for me.
Yes, you like that one, yeah.
I love that song.
Not great song. I was going to say Solid Rock. Dude.
Solid Rock.
Solid
I can
Rock.
always listen to that. But also Midnight Oil. Beds of Burning.
Oh, I love Dead Heart.
If they're on the radio, I'll stop in the truck and not deliver.
For Beds of Burning.
To Beds of Burning.
It's a great song.
And I don't own the albums, but again, like I said last time, you don't need to own them because they're on the radio all the time.
Dead Heart was my favourite Midnight Oil song.
Oh, amazing band.
You know what was another great Australian artist? Colette. Let's go. See you later, everybody. Bye.
See you later.
On YouTube, everything.
Please subscribe.
Subscribe. Comment. Do that. Put our numbers up.
Subscribe first. If you watch the show on YouTube, subscribe, please.
Colette.
Help us out.
Colette, indeed.
Kylie's good too.
Yeah, she's great.
The song La 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 is pretty good.
See ya.